Hey guys, tonight we're not just talking about another ghost story. We're going to a real place, a place with a name whispered on the dark web, a place where reality and legend get tangled up in a way that just doesn't make sense. And you, my friend, are right there with us. You're in the car, on the road, watching the world blur by as we head towards a place called Oak Haven Paper Mill. You can feel the hum of the tires against the asphalt, the soft click of the car's turn signal, the gentle static of the radio. Your heart is a little faster than usual, and a cool shiver runs down your arm. Don't worry. It's just the AC for now. You probably won't survive this. And if you don't, hey, at least you'll have a good story to tell the specters in the afterlife. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you are and what time it is, so I know who's out there listening in the dark. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It all started, as these things often do, with a whisper. A rumor bouncing around the deep corners of the internet. You know the ones. The forgotten forums, the creepy video essays, the grainy clips of seemingly impossible things done to ordinary people by mysterious creatures. This was your world in your early 20s, not just you, but your friends Polly and Vera, too. You all fell into this hobby of hobby horrors. Most of the time, it was a joke. Hoaxes that were revealed as hoaxes. Chills from a sudden draft, not a ghost, but a couple of years ago, you stumbled onto something different. Something that didn't feel like a prank. It was a local legend from a left-of-nowhere place in rural Minnesota. A thing called the Force Crowd. Vera, the newest member of your trio, had heard about it from her hometown. She said there'd been so many sightings that it was a miracle it hadn't been more widely acknowledged. The legend was so common in her neck of the woods that most locals didn't even find it fascinating anymore. Of course, this made it a must-see for you. You and Polly had been on dozens of these excursions before. Haunted houses that were just old buildings. Seances that were just a bunch of people trying to hold in laughter. Abandoned asylums that were just abandoned. The idea of something physical and tangible was laughable. You'd been so focused on the supernatural. You never considered something biological, something real. You had to see it for yourself. You had to see this creature that looked like a group of people. Think about the history of American folklore. The Salem witch trials, for example. Historians still debate whether the afflicted girls were truly possessed, or if their behavior was a result of mass hysteria. But the fear of the unknown was undeniably real, the fear of something that wasn't quite human. You, Polly, and Vera, you'd always chased that feeling. Not the fear, but the thrill of the hunt. The idea of finally finding something that wasn't a hoax, that wasn't just a trick of the light, was intoxicating. This was your Moby Dick, your holy grail. This was the one that would prove you hadn't been wasting your time. You believed, deep down, that there was something real out there. You just didn't know how badly you would be proven right. And so, here we are. The three of you packed into Polly's car. The snacks, the tents, the sleeping bags, and of course, the cameras. The usual for an excursion, but this time it feels different. There's a nervous energy in the air. Polly, who you've known since you both dressed up as the penguin in your late teens, is unusually quiet. Vera, who turned out to be just as weird as Polly, is grinning like a Cheshire cat in the passenger seat. You try to get her to spill the details, but she just chuckles and says she doesn't want to spoil it. The sun is beginning to set, casting long, strange shadows across the fields. The world is taking on a golden hue, but you can feel the chill of the coming night. This is your life now, you think, chasing after shadows and rumors. But the Forza crowd, this is different. This is a thing, Vera said. A great thing, and you just believe her. The journey begins, the car chewing up the miles on the open highway. A landscape of endless fields and distant farmhouses blurring past your window. Polly is driving, his usual cheerful demeanor a little subdued. The easy banter that usually fills the car is gone, replaced by a low hum of a soft podcast playing from Vera's phone. Something about the history of American roadside attractions that you find surprisingly soothing, but the comfort doesn't last. Every so often, Polly catches your eye in the rearview mirror, a flicker of something you can't quite read in his expression. It's not fear, not exactly. Maybe a new kind of anticipation, a nervous itch he's never felt on your other trips. After all, you've never been to a place that had an official warning from local law enforcement. That, at least, is a new level of legitimacy, not just a sign saying trespassers will be prosecuted, but something more visceral, a chain-linked fence and an angry, weathered sign. You've always been drawn to these places. The derelict, the forgotten, the places people have abandoned because of some supposed darkness. But this feels different. The legends you've chased before were always about ghosts or demons, things that exist on a different plane. This, however, is a physical creature, something that eats things, something that exists in the real world. This isn't a ghost story. It's a field trip to a cryptid habitat. And that's a thought that, for the first time, makes a little knot of dread tighten in your stomach. This isn't just a spooky tale for a video essay. This could be a mistake. You think about the story of the Beast of Bray Road, a modern cryptid from Wisconsin. For decades, locals have reported a creature that walks on two legs like a man, but has the head and body of a wolf. It's an American werewolf legend that has never been definitively proven. But the sightings have been so persistent that they've created their own mythology. Historians still debate whether such a widespread phenomenon is a case of mass delusion, or if there is some biological basis for the sightings. But the belief is undeniably real. That's the world you are heading into now. A place where belief is the only real proof you need. Vera, oblivious to your unease, is scrolling through her phone, a small, knowing smile on her face. "I can't believe you haven't heard about it. None of you know about the Forza crowd," she asked. "You hadn't. You've spent so much time looking for the big, widely known cryptids like Bigfoot or the Jersey Devil. You never considered that the most horrifying things could be the ones nobody talks about outside of a small, forgotten town, the things that are so mundane to the locals that they don't even find them fascinating anymore." The car passes a sign for St. Cloud, a familiar landmark on your journey, and you know you're getting closer now. The familiar gives way to the unknown. The road shrinks, turning from a wide, multi-lane highway into a winding country road, flanked by tall, whispering pines. The air grows thick and heavy, a palpable humidity settling in as the last of the golden sunlight fades. You look over at Polly, whose knuckles are white on the steering wheel, and then at Vera, whose grin has widened, her eyes gleaming with an unreadable excitement. "Give us a hint," Polly begs. "Like the name. What's that about?" And the answer is just as maddeningly vague as everything else. You know, 3's a crowd, but this is like 4. This isn't just a creature, it's a riddle, a puzzle that you are about to try and solve with nothing but a couple of cameras and a whole lot of reckless curiosity. And for the first time, a small voice in the back of your mind whispers a warning. This is the point of no return. The hours melt away, and the world outside your window transforms. The bright, open fields of the interstate give way to a tighter, more claustrophobic landscape. The sky, once a brilliant blue, is now a bruised purple and bruised orange, streaked with clouds that look like they've been dragged across the horizon. You're in deep now. The car rolls over a final stretch of pavement before giving way to gravel. The rhythmic crunch of tires under the chassis becoming the new soundtrack to your journey. This is where the cell service dies. The little bars on your phone wink out of existence, one by one, until only an empty gray triangle remains. The modern world and its flimsy safety net has officially abandoned you. It's amazing how quickly the comfort of civilization can dissolve. A few minutes ago, you were just a group of friends on a road trip. Now, you're just you, and Polly, and Vera, alone in a car in the middle of nowhere, chasing a shadow. You know the kind of place you're in, the sort of place where every old, leaning barn has a story. Every patch of thick, dark forest holds a secret. You think about the bizarre history of the hot egg, a creature from Wisconsin folklore. It's a beast with a bull's head, a frog's legs, and a spiked back, and it's said to be born from the ashes of cremated oxen. It's a ridiculous, almost cartoonish cryptid. But the legend was so pervasive that even the Smithsonian had a supposed photo of one on display. And for decades, it was a tourist attraction. This is the truth of American folklore. It's not about whether a thing is real, but about how real the belief in it becomes. You turn to look at Vera, but she's just staring out the window, a strange half-smile on her face. Her breathing is shallow, like she's trying to hold a scream inside her lungs. Polly's grip on the steering wheel is so tight his knuckles are turning white. You're all pretending this is an adventure, a thrilling escape from your boring lives. But the silence in the car has become a heavy, living thing. It's not just the absence of sound, it's the presence of an unspoken fear. You can almost feel it pressing in on the windows, a quiet, growing dread that whispers, "You're in my world now." The road narrows, the trees crowding in on both sides, their branches scraping against the roof of the car with a sound like skeletal fingers. The air, even with the windows up, feels colder. You realize you've been holding your breath for the last 5 minutes. You let it out in a slow, controlled exhale, trying to show Polly and Vera that you're not scared. But you are. The truth is, you've never been to a place that felt this wrong. All the other places you've gone, they were just old. This is something else. This feels ancient. The old Oakhaven paper mill looms in the distance, a dark, hulking shape against the last of the light. Its chimney stack, a skeletal finger pointing to the sky, seems to taunt you. It's surrounded by a high, chain-link fence, the kind of fence you'd see around a military base or a prison. It's a place meant to keep things out, but also a place meant to keep things in. Historians still debate whether the legends of the creature were a result of the mill's collapse and the human tragedy of its closure, or if the creature's existence was the reason for the mill's collapse in the first place. You feel a new appreciation for the old mill, an old building with a terrible secret hidden behind its crumbling facade. It's so much more terrifying than just an old house or a graveyard. This place had a purpose once, a purpose that's long gone, leaving something else to take its place, something far more sinister. "So," you whisper, your voice thin and small in the overwhelming silence of the car. "This is it," Polly just nods, his eyes fixed on the mill, a strange mix of terror and fascination warring in them. "This is it," he confirms, his voice a little shaky. Vera finally turns to look at you, her smile now a full, crazed grin. "Welcome," she says, her voice a low, raspy whisper, to the Forza crowd. The car hums along, a bubble of manufactured calm slicing through the growing wilderness. You pull out your phone. Its empty signal bars a quiet mockery, and you open up the notes you took, the digital breadcrumbs that led you here. You've been down this rabbit hole before. The search queries started innocently enough: Minnesota urban legends, abandoned places near St. Cloud, and then they got specific. Oakhaven paper mill, Forza crowd sightings, disappearances Mill Creek. The results were a patchwork of blog posts, grainy YouTube videos with a handful of views, and forum threads that hadn't been updated in years. There was a story, a dark little piece of local folklore that explained the phenomenon. It wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a demon. It was something else. Something that, according to the whispers, lived in the crumbling ruins of the Oakhaven paper mill. The legend said it was a creature that could mimic the appearance of a group of 4 people. Not just their shape, but their movement, their silhouette, their very essence. The name, Force a Crowd, was a cynical jab at the old adage, instead of 2's company, 3's a crowd. This thing turned a crowd of 4 into a singular, predatory entity. A horrifying little joke, you thought, that you were all about to find out was very, very real. You remember the first time you read about it. The description was chilling. 4 figures, always a man, a woman, and 2 children, seen walking silently in the twilight. They would glide, not walk, their feet never quite touching the ground. You read a chilling account from a former mill worker who claimed to have seen them. He described a sickening, fluid movement, a sort of synchronized ballet of terror. He said they were like marionettes with invisible strings, their limbs moving in perfect, unnatural unison. The detail that stuck with you, the one that made the hair on your arms stand up, was the sound. Or rather, the lack of it. They made no sound, no footsteps, no whispers, just a suffocating, absolute silence that would fall over the woods whenever they appeared. Think about the ancient folklore of the changeling. In Celtic and Germanic mythology, a fairy or a troll would steal a human baby and replace it with their own grotesque offspring, a changeling. These creatures would mimic the appearance of the stolen child, but their behavior would be off. They would be sickly, sullen, and refuse to eat or grow. That's the sort of unsettling vibe you were getting from the Force a Crowd. The imitation was so perfect on the surface, but the details were all wrong. The lack of sound, the unnatural movements, it was an imitation of humanity, a twisted mockery of a family out for a stroll. The stories all pointed to one terrifying fact. The Force a Crowd was a hunter. It used its disguise to lure people in. People who saw 4 lost souls wandering in the woods would naturally want to help. They would call out. They would try to get closer. And that's when the illusion would break. The stories never said what happened after. The tailies always just ended there, with the person seeing the creature for what it truly was. It was a cliffhanger in real life, a horror story with the last page ripped out. And for the first time on this trip, the cynical, sarcastic part of you, the part that always found the humor in these things, was silent. Historians still debate whether the legend of the Force a Crowd is an ancient indigenous story distorted over time, or a modern urban legend born from the mill's industrial decay. But the core theme of a predator disguised as something familiar is a fear as old as time itself. You look up from your phone to see Polly's knuckles are white on the steering wheel, his eyes darting from side to side, as if he expects to see 4 figures gliding in the gloom. Vera, on the other hand, is a picture of serene anticipation. She's been a horror enthusiast for longer than you have, and she believes this is the big one, the real deal, the one that will prove all your late nights and countless wasted trips were worth it. She's not scared, she's excited, and in a way, that's almost scarier than the legend itself. You can feel the car slowing down. Polly lets out a long, ragged breath. He's found the turnoff, and the journey into the dark has just begun. The car lurches to a stop. The engines idle a low, trembling groan in the suffocating silence. You look out the window at the looming silhouette of the Oakhaven paper mill. The air smells of rust and decay, a metallic tang mixed with the cloying sweetness of rot. It's a smell that gets into your throat and makes you cough, a physical manifestation of the wrongness of this place. You're not just in a building, you're in a corpse, a gigantic metal-end concrete corpse, slowly returning to the earth. The sky is now a deep, inky black, a blanket of darkness so thick it feels like a weight on your shoulders. Only a sliver of the moon peeks out from behind the clouds, casting a weak, ghostly light on the mill's skeletal frame. You've read about this place online, seen the grainy photos, but they don't do it justice. The scale is immense, a silent testament to a long-dead industry. The windows are like vacant eyes, staring out at nothing. The rusted pipes and machinery look like the exposed bones of a long-dead creature. You think about how strange it is that something so mundane, a paper mill, could become the epicenter of such a horrifying legend. It's the uncanny valley of architecture, you think. It's familiar. It's something you've seen before, but it's just off enough to be unsettling. Like a mannequin that's a little too lifelike, or a doll with a human's eyes. This place is an industrial mimic, a building that pretends to be a normal part of the landscape. But you know, deep in your gut, that it's just a costume for something else entirely. This feeling of something being not right has a deep historical precedent. Consider the dancing plague of 1518, a bizarre event in which a woman in Strasbourg began to dance uncontrollably in the streets and was soon joined by hundreds of others. They danced for days without rest, and many died from exhaustion, heart attacks, or strokes. Historians still debate whether this was a psychological phenomenon, a mass psychogenic illness, or a result of a cult ritual. But the unsettling image of hundreds of people dancing themselves to death is a clear example of the human psyche's capacity for mass delusion and fear. The force a crowd is a similar kind of horror, an act so strange, so out of place, that it short-circuits your brain's ability to process it. You step out of the car, the crunch of gravel under your shoes sounding unnaturally loud in the silence. Polly is already pulling your bags from the trunk, his movements stiff and mechanical. Vera is humming a tune you don't recognize, her eyes fixed on the mill, her expression one of utter fascination. It's the look of someone who has finally found their purpose in life. It's both beautiful and terrifying. You remember reading a bizarre tidbit about the history of scarecrows in ancient times. They weren't always for birds. Some cultures used them as a way to ward off malevolent spirits from their crops. The idea was that the scarecrow's grotesque, inhuman form would confuse and repel the spirits. An unsettling concept that speaks to a primal fear of things that look human but aren't. And as you gaze at the mill, you realize that the Force crowd is the ultimate scarecrow, a horrific deterrent that has worked for years to keep people from this place. The darkness is absolute now, a suffocating presence that seems to have a weight of its own. Your flashlight beam cuts a narrow, dancing swath through the night, illuminating only what you choose to see. You can hear the distant cry of an owl, a sound that in any other circumstance would be beautiful. But out here, it sounds like a warning. The wind whips around you, a cold, biting gust that carries the smell of the mill. You feel the ground under your feet, the hard, compacted dirt that was once a parking lot, but now feels like a freshly dug grave. You're in the heart of the uncanny, the place where the familiar and the foreign have a terrifying baby. You turn back to Polly, whose flashlight is illuminating a large wooden sign that is so weathered that the words are barely legible. It says Oak Haven Paper Mill, Est, 1922. Underneath it, someone has scrawled something in what looks like red paint, but you know, it's a different color. The letters are thick and spattered, and you can just make out the words. They're not people. You stand there for a moment, a cold hand of dread gripping your heart. You look back at the mill, at the dark, silent windows, and you wonder what the hell you've gotten yourself into. This isn't a ghost story anymore. This is a monster story. You and your friends stand there, a small, shivering huddle in the oppressive darkness, each of you holding a beam of light that feels pathetic against the vastness of the mill. Polly, ever the pragmatic one, is trying to find the fence's gate, his flashlight beam dancing along the rusted chain links. Vera, meanwhile, is just staring. She's staring at the scrawled message on the sign, a quiet, almost reverent look on her face. You can't tell if she's scared or in awe, and that's the most terrifying part. You remind yourself that this is all a big game, a harmless thrill ride, but the rational part of your brain is losing the argument. A new light appears in the distance, a bobbing, weaving beam that's approaching from a different direction, not from the road you came from. It's too high to be another person walking. You feel a knot of panic tighten in your stomach. Was there someone else here? A caretaker? Another group of urban explorers? Or something else? A voice calls out, clear and calm in the night air. You must be the ones I'm waiting for. A man emerges from the darkness, a wide, unsettling smile on his face. He's older, with a beard that looks like a bird's nest and a wide-brimmed hat. He's wearing a worn-out denim jacket and sturdy boots, and he's carrying a large, heavy-looking rifle. You've heard about him. The online forums talked about a local guide who would take people to the mill, a man named Neil. You didn't believe he was real. You figured he was just part of the legend, a detail added to make the story more believable. But here he is, solid and real, a ghost made of flesh and bone. Neil, Vera says, her voice a hushed whisper. Thank you for meeting us. Neil just nods, his eyes twinkling in the dim light. Welcome to my office, he says, with a sweep of his hand toward the mill. She's a beautiful beast, ain't she? Looks like she's sleeping, but trust me, she's always watching. He walks right up to the gate. A giant, rusted thing with a heavy chain and padlock. He doesn't open it. He just points to a gap in the fence, a place where the chain links have been peeled back like the skin of a rotten fruit. This is how we get in, he says. The old-fashioned way, the way they do it. You think of the Force crowd, and your blood runs cold. Neil explains that he's been working as a sort of self-appointed caretaker of the place for years. He claims to be a descendant of one of the mill's original founders, and that his family has passed down stories about the place for generations. He says the Force crowd isn't a new phenomenon. It's been here for centuries, long before the mill was built. But the mill's collapse and subsequent abandonment just gave it the perfect hunting ground. The idea that this thing has been here, living and hunting, for hundreds of years, is a chilling thought. It gives the legend a weight, a historical gravity that none of the other stories you've chased have ever had. Consider the unsettling mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke, the entire English settlement, founded in the late 1500s, vanished without a trace. All that was left was the word Croatoan, carved into a post, and CRO carved into a tree. Historians still debate whether the colonists were absorbed by a local Native American tribe, succumbed to famine, or were simply a victim of a very cold winter. The lack of an explanation is what makes it so unnerving. Like the Roanoke colony, the mill's legend has no satisfying conclusion, just a series of unanswered questions and a chilling, gaping hole where the truth should be. You stand there for a moment, letting the history of the place wash over you. Neil starts to walk away, a little too quickly, expecting you to follow. You look at Polly, who shrugs nervously, and then at Vera, whose eyes are wide with excitement. You all follow Neil through the gap in the fence, stepping from the outside world into a place that feels like it exists on a different plane of reality. The scent of rust and decay is even stronger here. It's like the place is breathing, but the breath is stale and dead. The night air grows still, the wind dies down, and a profound silence falls over the clearing. The air has a sort of expectant stillness to it, like the moment before a storm. Neil turns back to look at you, and for the first time, you see the true fear in his eyes. "All right, kids," he whispers, his voice low and serious. "The first rule of the mill is you don't go past the catwalks alone. Ever. Got it?" You can feel the hair on your neck stand on end. You and your friends nod in unison, and he smiles again. But this time, the smile doesn't reach his eyes. You've entered his domain now, and you can only pray that you can get out again. You and your friends stand there, a small, shivering huddle in the oppressive darkness. each of you holding a beam of light that feels pathetic against the vastness of the mill. Polly, ever the pragmatic one, is trying to find the fence's gate, his flashlight beam dancing along the rusted chain links. Vera, meanwhile, is just staring. She's staring at the scrawled message on the sign, a quiet, almost reverent look on her face. You can't tell if she's scared or in awe, and that's the most terrifying part. You remind yourself that this is all a big game, a harmless thrill ride. But the rational part of your brain is losing the argument. A new light appears in the distance, a bobbing, weaving beam that's approaching from a different direction, not from the road you came from. It's too high to be another person walking. You feel a knot of panic tighten in your stomach. Was there someone else here? A caretaker? Another group of urban explorers? Or something else? A voice calls out, clear and calm in the night air. You must be the ones I'm waiting for. A man emerges from the darkness, a wide, unsettling smile on his face. He's older, with a beard that looks like a bird's nest and a wide-brimmed hat. He's wearing a worn-out denim jacket and sturdy boots, and he's carrying a large, heavy-looking rifle. You've heard about him. The online forums talked about a local guide who would take people to the mill. A man named Neil. You didn't believe he was real. You figured he was just part of the legend, a detail added to make the story more believable. But here he is, solid and real, a ghost made of flesh and bone. Neil, Vera says, her voice a hushed whisper. Thank you for meeting us. Neil just nods, his eyes twinkling in the dim light. Welcome to my office, he says, with a sweep of his hand toward the mill. She's a beautiful beast, ain't she? Looks like she's sleeping, but trust me, she's always watching. He walks right up to the gate, a giant, rusted thing with a heavy chain and padlock. He doesn't open it, he just points to a gap in the fence, a place where the chain links have been peeled back like the skin of a rotten fruit. This is how we get in, he says. The old-fashioned way, the way they do it. You think of the Força crowd, and your blood runs cold. Neil explains that he's been working as a sort of self-appointed caretaker of the place for years. He claims to be a descendant of one of the mill's original founders, and that his family has passed down stories about the place for generations. He says the Força crowd isn't a new phenomenon. It's been here for centuries, long before the mill was built. But the mill's collapse and subsequent abandonment just gave it the perfect hunting ground. The idea that this thing has been here, living and hunting, for hundreds of years, is a chilling thought. It gives the legend a weight, a historical gravity that none of the other stories you've chased have ever had. Consider the unsettling mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke, the entire English settlement, founded in the late 1500s, vanished without a trace. All that was left was the word, Croatoan, carved into a post, and CRO carved into a tree. Historians still debate whether the colonists were absorbed by a local Native American tribe, succumbed to famine, or were simply a victim of a very cold winter. The lack of an explanation is what makes it so unnerving. Like the Roanoke colony, the Mills legend has no satisfying conclusion, just a series of unanswered questions and a chilling, gaping hole where the truth should be. You stand there for a moment, letting the history of the place wash over you. Neil starts to walk away, a little too quickly, expecting you to follow. You look at Polly, who shrugs nervously, and then at Vera, whose eyes are wide with excitement. You all follow Neil through the gap in the fence, stepping from the outside world into a place that feels like it exists on a different plane of reality. The scent of rust and decay is even stronger here. It's like the place is breathing, but the breath is stale and dead. The night air grows still, the wind dies down, and a profound silence falls over the clearing. The air has a sort of expectant stillness to it, like the moment before a storm. Neil turns back to look at you, and for the first time, you see the true fear in his eyes. "All right, kids," he whispers, his voice low and serious. "The first rule of the mill is you don't go past the catwalks alone. Ever. Got it?" You can feel the hair on your neck stand on end. You and your friends nod in unison, and he smiles again. But this time, the smile doesn't reach his eyes. You've entered his domain now, and you can only pray that you can get out again. Neil leads you and your friends deeper into the mill's perimeter, his flashlight beam cutting a confident path through the overgrown weeds and broken concrete. The air here is heavy, a thick, cloying miasma of mildew, rust, and something else, something you can't quite place. But it makes your skin crawl. You notice how he walks. He doesn't walk a straight line, he weaves and bobs, his head on a swivel, constantly scanning the shadows. His rifle, a well-worn piece of equipment, is held not defensively, but with a sort of casual readiness, as if it were a natural extension of his arm. It's the way a hunter holds their tool, you realize, not a protector. "A mill's a funny thing," Neil says, his voice a low rumble that seems to vibrate through the ground. It takes a little bit of everything and turns it into something else. Trees become paper, water becomes steam, and here, the raw material was a little more organic. He stops in a small clearing near a large, empty silo, his flashlight illuminating a set of old, rusted train tracks that lead right into the mill's dark heart. You see what he means. The mill wasn't just a place of industry. It was a place of transformation. A place where things went in and something else came out. He leans back against the silo, a ghostly smile playing on his lips. See the force a crowd. It's not a ghost. It's not a spirit. It's a predator. And like any good predator, it has to eat. Your stomach lurches. You've heard the stories online, but hearing them from a man who lives and breathes this terror is an entirely different beast. But it doesn't just eat. It feeds on fear, on hope, on the illusion of safety. He explains that the creature's mimicry isn't just for luring in prey. It's a way to break them down, to make them question their own sanity before it strikes. The four figures, the family unit. It's a symbol of comfort and security. And by tearing that illusion apart, the creature leaves its victims emotionally and psychologically vulnerable. A much more palatable meal. Think about the grim history of the catacombs of Paris, where the remains of millions of people were transferred from overflowing cemeteries. They were arranged into macabre displays of bones and skulls, creating a terrifying labyrinth that served as a monument to death. The catacombs are a place where the line between life and death is blurred, where the forgotten dead are organized into a kind of twisted art. Historians still debate whether this was a practical solution to a public health crisis or a profound philosophical statement on mortality. But the fact that so many people are drawn to its unsettling beauty speaks to a deep-seated human fascination with our own gruesome end. This mill, you realize, is a sort of catacomb in its own right, a place of death, a monument to a malevolent force. You see, the Force-a-Crowd's not a beast of instinct, it's a beast of intelligence, Neil continues, his voice now a conspiratorial whisper. He points his flashlight at a series of strange, symmetrical scratches on the side of the silo. They look like claw marks, but they're too perfect, too deliberate. These are its marks. It leaves them behind as a sort of calling card. It's a kind of communication, a warning to others, a kind of horrifying graffiti. He tells you about a local superstition that the creature's markings can predict the weather or even human events. It's a quirky, terrifying tidbit of folklore that gives you another reason to fear this place. The idea that this thing isn't just here to hunt, but to communicate its dominion over the land. You look back at the mill's silent facade, and for the first time, you don't see an old building. You see a hunter's lair, a trap. The air is still, but the silence feels louder than any scream. You know now that this place isn't just a location. It's a character, a dark, malevolent force with a will of its own. And you have walked right into its home. You follow Neil through the dark, the beam of his flashlight bouncing off the rusted remains of the mill's exterior. He's talking, but his voice is now a low, conspiratorial whisper, as if he's afraid of waking something up. The mill's got a life of its own now, he says, his words carried on a faint breeze. It's not just a home for the Force-a-Crowd, it's an accomplice. He leads you past a massive, dark machine, a pulper. Its jagged blades now just rusted teeth. It's a silent, ominous monument to the mill's brutal past. He gestures to it. This is where it all started. 100 years of grinding trees to dust. It's a place that knows about breaking things down and making them into something else. The perfect home for a creature that does the same too. Well, to people, he walks on, and you and your friends follow. A tight-knit cluster of fearful urban explorers. Polly keeps looking over his shoulder, his eyes wide, his camera held so tightly his fingers are probably cramping. Vera, on the other hand, is almost giddy. she's recording on her phone, a quiet narration about the mill's history, her voice a hushed echo in the cavernous space. You think about the bizarre history of the Jubilee Singers, a choir of former slaves who toured the world in the late 1800s, singing spirituals to raise money for their university. They were a sensation, but their songs were often about sorrow and loss, a haunting reflection of their past. It's a strange and unsettling fact that even in something beautiful, a great sadness can be hidden. Just like this mill, on the surface, it's just a decaying building. But beneath it, there's a great sorrow, a terrifying loss that has never truly gone away. Neil stops at a clearing near the mill's core, a place where the floor has caved in, revealing a dark, waterlogged chasm below. He points his flashlight down into the abyss, and you can see a strange, fibrous sludge floating on the surface of the water. That's paper pulp, he says. But the mill hasn't been in operation for 50 years. That shouldn't be here. He looks at you, a knowing smile on his face. The Forza crowd, it's not what you think. It's not a ghost. It's not an animal. It's a biological mimic, like a caterpillar pretending to be a bird's eye. You've read about this part online. You found it so ridiculous that you dismissed it as a hoax. But now, with the smell of decay in the air and the darkness pressing in on you, the absurdity of the story seems to make a horrifying kind of sense. He leans in, his voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. The Forza crowd isn't a single creature. It's a collective of a sort of large, semi-sentient arachnid. It's got these four, what I call stalker legs, on the top, that can sort of twist and turn. And then it has these four mimic legs on the bottom that can be used to hold things. But it's not a spider in the traditional sense. It's a thing that can stretch and contort its body, and when it wants to, it can make its mimic legs look like two sets of human legs. It can stand up, and it can glide. It's not just four people. It's one creature that looks like four people. The people you see are just its costume. Your brain struggles to make sense of this. You've always thought of the creature as a ghost, a legend. The idea of it being a biological entity, a sort of horrific, shape-shifting spider, it's too much to comprehend. The mind recoils from it. This is why you came here, you realize. You wanted a ghost, an idea, a story. But what you found is a physical, terrifying truth. You think about the disturbing folklore of the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. For a year in the 1960s, locals reported a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes. The sightings were often followed by catastrophic events, like the collapse of the Silver Bridge. Historians still debate whether the sightings were a result of mass hysteria or a bizarre psychological phenomenon. But the human-animal hybrid is a recurring theme in horror folklore. This creature, you realize, is another one of those, a twisted reflection of humanity, designed to draw you in and then to tear you apart. The air has become so still you can hear the blood pulsing in your ears. You look at Polly and Vera, and you can see the same fear and fascination on their faces. You've gone past the point of no return. You've crossed the threshold from urban exploration to a hunt, and you're not the hunters anymore. You're the prey. Neil stops you all at a large, rusted vat, an industrial relic from the mill's forgotten past. The air grows even colder here, a damp, heavy chill that sinks deep into your bones. The water inside is stagnant and thick, reflecting the weak glow of your flashlights like a black mirror. It's a dead end, a circular space that feels like a trap. As you stand there, an unnatural silence falls over the clearing. The chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves, all of it just stops. The quiet is so profound, it's deafening, and that's when you hear it. A single, high-pitched chirp, a sound so clear and sharp it feels like a needle in your ear. It comes from a branch high above, and you raise your flashlight to see it. It's a northern cardinal, a vibrant flash of red against the dark foliage. A beautiful bird, a creature of life and song. But something is wrong with it. It's twitching, its head tilted at an impossible angle, and its song, it's not a song. It's a broken, repetitive noise, a digital recording played back on a dying battery. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Neil raises a hand, his eyes wide and serious, and he looks up at the bird. "See that?" he whispers, his voice barely audible. "That's their alarm system." He explains that the Forza crowd has a bizarre, symbiotic relationship with these red birds. They're not just a food source, they're an early warning system. The creature, he says, has a way of hypnotizing them, of putting them into a trance. They become silent, still, and when they sense something coming, they let out that single, piercing, broken chirp. It's a sound that should be a warning, but it's just a sign that you've been found. You think about the unsettling history of the Great Fear of 1789, a period of mass panic and rural unrest that spread across the French countryside at the start of the French Revolution, spreading quickly through rumor and suspicion. The peasants armed themselves to fight an imaginary aristocratic conspiracy of bandits and mercenaries. The truth was that there were no bandits, no conspiracy, just a collective hallucination, a shared delusion fueled by fear and paranoia. Historians still debate whether the Great Fear was a spontaneous uprising or a deliberately orchestrated event. But the fact that a whole country was brought to the brink of chaos by a phantom army is a testament to the power of a shared, imagined enemy. This bird, this single, terrified bird, is doing the same thing. It's not a hallucination, you know that, but it's sending a signal of a coming terror. Neil gestures for you to follow him, and he moves on, his rifle held a little tighter now. He explains that the bird's unusual behavior is a sign that the creature is close. It's not just in the mill, it's outside. It's watching. It's moving with you. He points to a pile of old, rusted gears and machinery. The Forza crowd's a hunter, but it's a patient hunter. It uses the mill, It uses the quiet. It uses the birds. It's an artist, you could say. Its masterpiece is you. The idea of being a piece of art, a final, horrifying masterpiece. It's a chilling thought. You feel your own heart rate quicken. The air seems to grow even colder, and you swear you can hear a faint, scraping sound from deep within the mill. A sound like 1,000 nails being dragged across a metal plate. It's the sound of a spider's legs, you think, but on a grander, more terrifying scale. You've always loved the bizarre folklore of the Japanese legend of the tik-tik, a spirit of a girl who was cut in half by a train and now drags herself around on her elbows, making a tik-tik sound as she moves. The idea of a creature that can only move in a bizarre, unnatural way, a way that makes an unsettling sound as it pursues you. It's a common motif in horror stories for a reason, and as you walk with Neil, you can't help but listen for that sound, for the scrape of 1,000 claws, for the echo of a nightmare on the wind. The bird's chirp is a constant, piercing sound in the silence. It's a broken record, a repeating warning, a sound that says, I see you. And so does the thing that controls me. You and your friends follow Neil into the gaping maw of the mill. The air inside is different. It's colder, a stale, heavy atmosphere that tastes like iron and dust. The sound of the wind outside dies down to a low, mournful sigh, and every footstep you take on the concrete floor echoes, a sharp, piercing sound that seems to bounce off the walls and crawl up into the rafters. The light from your flashlights dances across the interior, illuminating a cathedral of rust and decay. Towering machinery, once the heart of this place, now stands as a skeletal monument to a dead industry. Rusted chains hang from the ceiling like severed vines, and great metal rollers lie half submerged in pools of black, stagnant water. It feels less like a building and more like a tomb. Neil leads you toward a series of rusted catwalks, a network of metal walkways that snake through the mill's upper levels, high above the machinery. The sound of your footsteps on the metal grate is a horrifying symphony of creaks, groans, and pops. It's the sound of a dying beast, and you are walking on its bones. You look down through the grates, and you can see the dark water below, a mirror for the flickering lights above. Your own reflection stares back at you, a pale, wide-eyed ghost in the gloom. You think of the infamous Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky, known for its high death toll from tuberculosis in the early 20th century. The sanatorium has become a hotbed of paranormal legends. Patients were sent down a death tunnel to be discreetly removed, so as not to distress the other patients. And the tunnel itself is said to be the site of countless hauntings. Historians still debate whether the stories of spectral presences were created by the patient's fear of death, or if the lingering trauma of the place itself has somehow been imprinted on the very walls. Like Waverly Hills, this place is a monument to death, a place where people came in and never truly left. Be careful Neil whispers, his voice a low, gravelly sound. These things aren't what they used to be. You take a step, and the metal groans under your weight. A low, drawn-out complaint that seems to go on for an eternity. You look over at Polly, whose face is a mask of pure terror. He's white-knuckling the camera, his hand shaking so badly that the light from his flashlight is just a jittery, bouncing star in the darkness. Vera, on the other hand, is smiling. She's taking a video on her phone. A hushed, whispering narration about the mill's architecture. Her voice a calm, serene counterpoint to the chaos in your mind. You think about the strange and unsettling folklore of the Naknitsa, a Slavic night spirit that preys on children, giving them nightmares and stealing their strength as they sleep. It's an old tale, a way for parents to explain bad dreams and restless nights. The Naknitsa would sit on a child's chest, a sort of invisible weight, and steal their breath. And as you walk on the catwalk, you feel a similar kind of weight on your chest, an unseen presence that is pressing in on you, a presence that is feeding on your fear. It's a primal, irrational terror that has nothing to do with a crumbling building, and everything to do with the thing that is living within it. You look down at the floor below, and you see a strange, unsettling sight. It looks like a pile of rags, but on closer inspection, you realize it's not rags at all. It's a pile of old, dirty clothing. You see a child's shoe, a faded dress, and a small, worn-out teddy bear. It's an altar to the missing, a chilling reminder of what this place has become. You turn to look at Neil, whose eyes are fixed on the pile. "This is a new one," he whispers, his voice barely audible. "It wasn't here last week." The sound of your heart beating in your ears is the only thing you can hear. The silence is so profound, so absolute, that it feels like a physical thing. You are in the belly of the beast, and it just noticed you. You move deeper into the mill, the catwalks stretching out before you like a spider's web of rusted metal. The air grows heavier with the smell of decay, and you can hear a low, rhythmic dripping sound from somewhere below. A constant, maddening beat that is slowly driving you insane. Your flashlight beam illuminates the rusted machinery, the great, silent rollers and pressers, now just looming silhouettes in the dark. It's a terrifying art gallery, you think, a collection of industrial carcasses that have all been picked clean, and you're just walking through it. Neil stops at a place where the catwalk is broken, a jagged chasm in the metal that forces you to squeeze single file along a narrow, rickety beam. You feel your heart hammering against your ribs, a panicked little bird trapped in a cage. You look down, and your flashlight beam falls on a disturbing sight. The ground below isn't concrete. It's a spongy, white mass, like a giant, festering fungus. It's growing out of the pulp and the sludge, a web of white filaments that seems to stretch and pulsate in the dim light. It's not a fungus, you realize, with a sickening jolt of recognition. It's an egg sac, or sacs, dozens of them, all clinging to the ground like barnacles on a ship. white anymore. They're a pale, fleshy pink, and you can see a vague, lumpy shape moving within them. You've heard about the Force crowd, Neil whispers, his voice a hoarse, ragged sound. But you've never heard about the 5 crowd, the 6 crowd, the 100 crowd. Your mind reels. What is he talking about? This creature, he continues, it's not like any other. It reproduces asexually. It doesn't need a mate. It's a parthenogenetic monster. He gestures to the eggs below. It can just make them any time it wants. So it doesn't just eat you. It eats you and uses the raw material, your bones, your skin, your very life force, to make more of itself. The words are a knife in your gut. This isn't just a predator, it's a factory. A horrifying, self-replicating machine that turns human beings into more monsters. You think of the unsettling history of the Banshee of the battlefields, a legend that rose during the American Civil War. Soldiers from both sides reported hearing a terrifying, high-pitched scream on the eve of battle, a wailing sound that was said to warn them of their impending death. The sound was so persistent that it was even written about in military dispatches. A haunting, terrifying sound that no one could explain. Historians still debate whether the Banshee was a case of mass hallucination brought on by the stress of battle, or if the cries of dying soldiers were simply carried on the wind in a strange, echoing way. Like the Banshee's cry, the creature's existence feels so profoundly wrong that it must be a lie, a hallucination. But the eggs below you are undeniably real. You look at Polly, whose face is a ghostly pale green, and at Vera, whose smile has finally, mercifully, disappeared. She's staring down at the pulsating sacs, her eyes wide with a mixture of revulsion and awe. She's finally scared. And that's a new kind of horror. You think about the bizarre folklore of the bunyip, a mythical creature from Australian Aboriginal mythology that lives in swamps and billabongs. It's described as a creature that lurks in the water and makes a terrifying, booming call. The bunyip is said to have many different forms, from a starfish-like creature to a horse-headed beast with a platypus bill. The idea of a creature that has no fixed form, a creature that is constantly changing and evolving, is a terrifying thought. And as you stare at the eggs, you realize that the Force crowd is just that. A creature with no fixed form, a creature that is capable of being anything, of becoming anything. Neil starts to move again, and you and your friends follow him, your feet heavy, your mind numb with terror. He's right. This isn't a ghost story, it's a biological nightmare. And you're walking right through its nest. The sound of the dripping water below seems to grow louder, a steady, hypnotic pulse. You can't stop looking at the eggs. They're so fragile, so delicate, and yet, you know with a chilling certainty that they contain a monster. You are no longer on a thrill ride. You are not a tourist. You are an intruder, and the mother is coming home. You and your friends have found a small, relatively clean patch of concrete in a corner of the mill's interior. sheltered from the elements and the worst of the rusted machinery. You've set up your tents, but it feels less like a campsite and more like a sacrificial altar. Every sound is magnified here. The wind, a low moan from the broken windows, sounds like 1,000 voices whispering in unison. The rhythmic drip from a rusted pipe echoes like a slow, deliberate heartbeat. And the smells are a physical assault on your senses. The iron tang of rust, the thick scent of decay, and something else, something you can't quite place. But it reminds you of a slaughterhouse. This is a place that has been dead for decades, but it feels more alive than anything you've ever encountered. Neil is sitting a little ways away from you, his back against a massive metal support beam, his rifle resting on his lap. He's not sleeping. His eyes are open, wide, and staring, fixed on the darkness. He's a guardian, you realize, a sentinel standing watch in a place where no one should be. You look over at Polly, who's huddled in his sleeping bag, his eyes squeezed shut, his face a ghostly pale. He's trying to pretend he's somewhere else, somewhere safe, but you know he's just as terrified as you are. Vera, ever the strange one, is curled up, a small, triumphant smile on her face. She's not scared. She's thrilled. This is the moment she's been waiting for, the moment when the legend becomes real. You try to get some rest, but your mind won't stop racing. You can't stop thinking about the eggs you saw below, the pulsating sacks of life that will one day become the Forza crowd. It's a biological nightmare, a creature that is constantly replicating itself, a force of nature that is far more terrifying than any ghost or demon. You think of the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident of 1959, where a group of 9 experienced hikers mysteriously died in the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. Their tent was found cut open from the inside, and the hikers' bodies were found half-dressed, some with fractured skulls and broken ribs, with one victim missing her tongue and eyes. Historians still debate whether their deaths were caused by an avalanche, a military experiment, or a bizarre psychological phenomenon. But the terrifying image of them fleeing their tent in the freezing cold is what makes the story so chilling. It's the thought of a group of people so terrified that they would rather face the elements than the thing they were running from. And as you lie here, listening to the creaking of the metal and the soft, sibilant sighs of the wind, you wonder what the Dyatlov Pass group saw that night. You wonder if they saw something like what you're about to see. You hear a strange, soft sound from the darkness. It's a rhythmic thump-thump, a sound like a single, quiet footstep. It's too regular, too deliberate. It's not a sound a person would make. It's a sound a thing would make. You look over at Neil, but his eyes are still fixed on the darkness, unblinking. He must have heard it too. You look over at Polly, whose body has gone rigid, a statue of pure terror. You look over at Vera, whose smile has widened, her eyes fixed on the darkness, a look of pure, unadulterated awe on her face. You think about the bizarre folklore of the Menehune, a race of tiny, mythical people from Hawaiian legends who were said to build massive structures in a single night. The Menehune were also known for being incredibly quiet, a kind of silent, invisible labor force. And as you listen to that soft thump-thump, you realize that the Força crowd is a kind of perverted Menehune, a silent, invisible force that builds and expands, a horror that works in the quiet of the night, turning the world into its own. You close your eyes and try to force yourself to sleep, to escape this waking nightmare. But you can't. The images of the eggs below, the sound of the dripping water, the eerie silence, all of it is a part of you now. You're no longer an outsider looking in. You're a part of the mill. You're a part of the horror. And you know, with a chilling certainty, that you're about to become a part of the legend. You're a part of the Força crowd now, whether you like it or not. You belong to it. You're not sure how long you've been asleep. Minutes, hours. The sleep you finally managed to drift into was a shallow, fitful thing, full of half-formed nightmares of dripping water and pulsating sacs. Your eyes snap open to the sound of a low, frantic whisper. It's Polly, and he's shaking you. "Wake up," he hisses, his voice a strained, high-pitched thing. "Wake up. You have to see this." You sit up, your mind groggy and thick with sleep. Vera is already on her feet, holding her phone, her flashlight beam a shaky, dancing white light against the dark. Her eyes are wide, and her mouth is open in a silent gasp. You can see the terror in her face, and the awe, the strange, horrifying awe. "It's here," she whispers. "Oh my God, it's here." You scramble out of your sleeping bag, your heart a frantic drum against your ribs. You grab your camera, your hands fumbling, and you follow Polly and Vera toward the source of their excitement. They're crouched behind a rusted-out machine, a massive paper press that looks like a great metallic jaw. You peek around the edge of it, and your breath catches in your throat. You see it. In the weak, ghostly light of the moon, you see them, 4 figures, standing in the distance, near the far side of the mill. They're standing in a row, perfectly still. A man, a woman, and 2 children. They're just there, waiting. You've read the stories. You've seen the grainy videos, but nothing prepares you for the sight of them. The stillness is what gets you. They're not moving. They're not talking. They're just standing. And then, as if on some unseen cue, they all begin to move in unison. They don't walk. They glide. Their feet never leave the ground. A horrifying, synchronized ballet across the concrete. It's a movement that is so profoundly unnatural, so impossible, that your mind recoils from it. It's like watching a group of mannequins being dragged on invisible strings. It's the uncanny valley in motion. A horror that looks so much like a normal family that the differences are even more terrifying. You think of the unsettling history of the phantom clowns of the 1980s, a bizarre series of sightings in which people across the United States reported seeing strange, malevolent clowns who would try to lure children into vans. The sightings were never confirmed, but the sheer number of reports and the chilling detail of the clown's unsettling behavior sparked a nationwide panic. Historians still debate whether the phantom clowns were a case of mass hysteria or a bizarre new form of urban legend. But the fear of a seemingly benign figure with a malevolent purpose is a recurring theme in horror folklore. This is exactly what you're seeing now. A group of people, a benign and familiar sight, but their purpose is far from benign. Vera is now silently filming, her hands trembling so hard that the light from her phone is a jittery star in the dark. Polly has his hand over his mouth, a muffled sob escaping his lips. You feel a cold, clammy dread settle over you. This isn't a hoax. This isn't a prank. This is real. This is the Força crowd, and it is a living, breathing nightmare. You think about the bizarre folklore of the Mothman sightings again. You remember the detail about its glowing red eyes. As you watch the four figures glide silently, you notice something about their faces. Their eyes, they're not reflecting the moonlight. They're glowing. A faint, malevolent red light that seems to pulse with a terrifying, silent beat. It's a small detail, but it's the one that breaks your brain. It's the one that tells you, with a sickening certainty, that what you are seeing is not a family. It's a thing. You can feel the air grow colder, the silence more profound. It's as if the world has stopped breathing, waiting for the four figures to reach you. They're not moving fast, but their progress is relentless. You want to run, you want to scream, but you can't. You're frozen, a horrified spectator watching the most terrifying show of your life, and you know with a horrifying certainty that the show is for you. They're not a family. They're a lure, a trap, a costume, and you have walked right into their masquerade. The four figures glide across the open space, their movements a horrifying, synchronized ballet. They're not fast, but their progress is relentless, an unstoppable, silent advance. The moonlight catches them just so, and you can see the details you couldn't make out before. The man is wearing a suit that looks like it's been torn to shreds, his tie hanging loose and limp. The woman's dress is a faded, colorless thing, and the children's clothes are little more than rags. But it's not the clothes that are unsettling, it's the way they wear them. They hang on them, limp and lifeless, as if they're just draped on a wire frame. Their arms hang at their sides, their heads tilted slightly, and their bodies are a little too straight, a little too rigid. They move as one, their four bodies a single, terrifying mass, a single consciousness moving through the night. You think of the Turk, an 18th century chess-playing automaton that was a sensation across Europe and America. It was a mechanical man that could play chess with real people and was said to be an incredible feat of engineering. The truth, of course, was that there was a person hidden inside the cabinet, a masterful chess player who would manipulate the automaton's moves from within. Historians still debate whether the Turk was a brilliant show of engineering or a clever con, but the horrifying image of a machine with a person hiding inside is a perfect metaphor for what you are seeing now. A group of people, a benign facade, with something horrifying hiding inside. This isn't a hoax, you realize. This is the truth. A horrifying, mechanical truth. Vera's camera is shaking so badly now you can hear the vibration. A low, buzzing sound that seems to fill the quiet. Polly is still a statue of pure terror. His hand over his mouth, his eyes wide and unblinking. You are the only one who has the presence of mind to notice the details, the small, insignificant things that tell you everything you need to know. The way the woman's dress seems to billow out, even though there's no wind. The way the child's small hand, which seems to be holding a small, rusty toy car, is perfectly still, its fingers never moving, never clenching. They're so close to perfection, so close to being human, but they're not. And that's what makes them terrifying. The silence that surrounds them is absolute, a vacuum that sucks all sound and life out of the world. You hear a sound in the distance, the low, mournful howl of a lone wolf, and it seems to get cut off abruptly, as if it was silenced by an unseen hand. The creature has a way of killing sound, you realize, of making the world a silent, terrifying stage for its grand entrance. You think of the bizarre folklore of the Japanese spirit no face from the film Spirited Away. A creature that can mimic the form and voice of a person in order to lure in its prey. The idea of a spirit that is not what it seems, that is only a mask for a terrifying, unfeeling void, is a terrifying thought. And as you watch the four figures glide silently, you realize that the Força crowd is just that, a horrifying mask, a hollow shell with a monster hiding inside. You feel a sense of dread, a sickening certainty that you are in grave danger. You want to run, you want to scream, but you can't. You're frozen. You are in a nightmare, a waking, breathing, horrifying nightmare. And the nightmare is gliding silently toward you. The red glow from their eyes seems to grow brighter, a malevolent beacon in the dark. It's a silent, hypnotic pull, a siren call that is drawing you in. They're not a family, they're a trap, and you have just taken the bait. You can feel the cold metal of the paper press on your back, and you realize you have nowhere to run. You are trapped between a rock and a hard place, and the rock is coming for you, and the hard place is you. You are frozen, a silent, terrified witness to a waking nightmare. You and your friends, huddled behind the rusted paper press, are completely paralyzed. The four figures glide silently across the open floor, their movements a perfect, horrifying imitation of human motion. You can see them now with chilling clarity. The man's suit is not torn, it's a part of him, a kind of skin. The woman's dress is not cloth, it's a seamless, fibrous shell. The children's bodies are not human at all, but bizarre, stunted versions of the larger creature. The illusion is so complete, so terrifyingly close to reality, that your mind is screaming for you to run, but your body can't move. You are in a state of shock. They're getting closer now, and as they do, the air grows even colder, and you swear you can hear a faint, high-pitched hum. It's a sound that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. A silent vibration that makes your teeth ache. It's a sound that only a machine would make. A sound that is both a part of the creature and a part of the mill. You think about the bizarre history of the eighth wonder of the world, a phrase that was used to describe the bizarre and terrifying sculptures of the terracotta army in ancient China. These were thousands of life-sized soldiers, each with a different face, a different expression, but all of them made of the same cold, unfeeling clay. Historians still debate whether they were created to serve the emperor in the afterlife or to protect him from malevolent spirits. But the image of 1,000 silent, unblinking statues waiting for an unseen command is a perfect metaphor for what you're seeing now. A group of things that look like people, but are nothing more than a part of a greater, terrifying whole. You look over at Vera, whose eyes are wide with a terrified fascination. She's not filming anymore. Her phone is now just a single, pulsing light, illuminating her horrified expression. Polly has his hands over his ears, his body shaking with silent, heaving sobs. You are the only one who can still look at them. You are the only one who can still think. The figures are now only a few feet away, their red, glowing eyes fixed on your hiding place. You can see the details of their faces, their empty, porcelain-like eyes, their pale, unmoving mouths. They have no expressions. They have no emotion. They are just a beautiful, horrifying mask. You remember the quirky folklore of the Pukwudgie, a small, troll-like creature from Native American folklore in Massachusetts. They were said to have gray skin, large ears, and glowing noses, and were known for playing tricks on people, like throwing sand at their eyes or pushing them off cliffs. The idea of a creature that looks almost human, but is a part of the forest, a part of the earth, is a fascinating and terrifying thought. And as you watch the four figures glide silently, you realize that the Forsa crowd is a kind of perverted Pukwudgie, a monstrous, living thing that is a part of the mill, a part of the death and decay that has consumed this place. The silence is broken by a single, terrifying sound. It's a soft click, a sound so small, so insignificant, but you know what it is. It's the sound of a camera taking a picture. Polly has, in his terrified state, accidentally triggered the shutter on his camera. The flash goes off, a blinding, white explosion of light in the darkness. And for a brief, horrifying second, you see the creature for what it truly is. The four figures are gone. In their place is a massive, 8-legged arachnid, a terrifying, silent horror that is so large it fills the space where the four figures once stood. The legs are not legs at all. They are a series of long, sinewy filaments, a kind of twisted muscle and tendon, and they are moving in a silent, coordinated dance. The creature's body is a pale, fleshy white, and it has no discernible head, no eyes, no face. The four figures were nothing but a lure, a trap, a costume, and the costume is now gone, and you are face to face with the monster. And you can see that the spider's body is a pale, fleshy white, and its limbs look like the tentacles of an octopus or a squid. The light from Polly's flash has gone out, but the image is burned into your mind. You will never forget what you saw. The flash from Polly's camera is a blinding, searing white light that burns a single, terrifying image into your mind. The man, the woman, the two children, they were gone. In their place was a nightmare, a great, sprawling horror that filled the space where the four figures once stood. The single, unifying body was a pale, fleshy white, its surface a sickening tapestry of glistening muscle and taut filaments. The legs were a series of long, grotesque appendages, a series of limbs that were twisting and coiling, a bizarre, silent dance of death. The creature had no head, no face, no eyes. The only features you could make out were the four red, glowing orbs that were now pulsating with a furious, malevolent light. They were not eyes. They were a part of the creature's body, a terrifying, bioluminescent organ that was now focused entirely on you. The illusion is gone. The facade has shattered. The polite, silent family has been replaced by a monster. The silence that had surrounded the four figures is gone, replaced by a low, guttural chittering sound, a sound like 1,000 insects grinding their mandibles. It's a sound that fills the air, a sound that is a part of the creature's body. You are not a spectator anymore. You are prey. The hunter has revealed itself, and the hunt has just begun. You think about the bizarre and unsettling history of early anatomical theaters in the 16th and 17th centuries. Bodies, often of executed criminals, were publicly dissected in front of paying crowds. The macabre displays were a way for people to confront death and the mysteries of the human body. But they were also a form of ghoulish entertainment. The act of tearing a body apart, of seeing the layers and viscera that were hidden inside, was both a horrifying and fascinating spectacle. Historians still debate whether these public dissections were a genuine pursuit of scientific knowledge or a perverse form of entertainment. But the unsettling image of a body being peeled apart is a perfect metaphor for what you are seeing now. The creature has peeled off its disguise, and you are seeing the layers and viscera that were hidden inside. Vera screams. It's a short, sharp shriek, a sound of pure, unadulterated terror. She drops her phone, and the light from it goes out, plunging you all back into a profound, suffocating darkness. You hear Polly gasp, a strangled, choking sound that tells you he saw it too. He scrambles to his feet, his body a trembling wreck of pure, raw panic. You grab him, your hands fumbling, your mind a blank slate of terror. You have to get out of here. You have to run. But where? The mill is a labyrinth of rusted metal and dark shadows, a perfect hunting ground for a creature that can move with a silent, unnatural grace. You think about the unsettling folklore of the Kelpie, a mythical water spirit from Celtic folklore that can take the form of a horse or a beautiful human. It would lure unsuspecting victims onto its back, and then, once they were on, it would drag them into the water and drown them. The idea of a creature that can take on a form to deceive its prey, and then, at the last moment, reveal its true, horrifying self, is a terrifying thought. And as you scramble to your feet, your mind racing, you realize that the Forsa crowd is a kind of perverted Kelpie, a monster that takes on the form of a family to lure its victims in. The creature's low, rhythmic chittering grows louder, and you can hear a wet, squelching sound, a sound like a great, slimy mass is dragging itself across the floor. You can see the faint, pulsating red light of its eyes in the darkness, a malevolent beacon that is moving with a terrifying speed. It's no longer a slow, graceful glide. It's a charge, a terrifying, unstoppable charge. You are not a spectator anymore. You are a victim, and you are about to become a part of the legend. The blinding white flash has faded, but the image is burned into your retinas. A great, fleshy horror, its body a pulsating white mass, its legs a tangle of grotesque, twitching filaments, and its eyes a furious, malevolent red. The illusion is gone. The facade has shattered. The polite, silent family has been replaced by a monster. The silence that had surrounded the four figures is gone, replaced by a low, guttural chittering sound, a sound like 1,000 insects grinding their mandibles. It's a sound that fills the air, a sound that is a part of the creature's body. You are not a spectator anymore. You are prey. The hunter has revealed itself, and the hunt has just begun. Vera screams. It's a short, sharp shriek, a sound of pure, unadulterated terror. She drops her phone, and the light from it goes out, plunging you all back into a profound, suffocating darkness. You hear Polly gasp, a strangled, choking sound that tells you he saw it too. He scrambles to his feet, his body a trembling wreck of pure, raw panic. You grab him, your hands fumbling, your mind a blank slate of terror. You have to get out of here. You have to run. But where? The mill is a labyrinth of rusted metal and dark shadows, a perfect hunting ground for a creature that can move with a silent, unnatural grace. The low, guttural chittering grows louder, and you can hear a wet, squelching sound. A sound like a great, slimy mass is dragging itself across the floor. You can see the faint, pulsating red light of its eyes in the darkness, a malevolent beacon that is moving with a terrifying speed. It's no longer a slow, graceful glide. It's a charge, a terrifying, unstoppable charge, and it's coming for you. You scramble back, your feet slipping on the slick concrete. You can hear Polly breathing in short, panicked gasps beside you. Vera, ever the strange one, is now silent, a small, whimpering sound escaping her lips. And then you see them. They are not what you saw before. They are not the four figures. They are the offspring. They are coming out of the shadows. A tide of small, pale creatures that look like grotesque, unfinished versions of the main monster. They are smaller, maybe the size of a cat, but their movements are the same horrifying, silent scuttle. Their bodies are a pale, fleshy white, and their limbs are a twisted mass of filaments and bone. They have no eyes, no faces, just a gaping maw that is rimmed with 100 tiny, needle-like teeth. They are the things from the egg sacs. You realize, with a jolt of sickening recognition, the things that were supposed to be people. You remember the morbid history of the Capuchin crypt in Rome, a series of small chapels beneath the church of Santa Maria della Concesione dei Cappuccini. The walls are decorated with the bones of 4,000 friars, arranged in elaborate, artistic patterns, a macabre mosaic of skulls, tibias, and femurs. Historians still debate whether this was a profound meditation on life and death, or a ghoulish, artistic display of human remains. But the sight of so many bones, so carefully arranged, is a powerful reminder of our mortality. These creatures, you realize, are a sort of moving, terrifying crypt. A crypt of all the people who have gone missing here. Their bodies, their bones, their very essence has been turned into something else, something monstrous. The small creatures are swarming now, a tide of silent, writhing flesh that is moving with a terrifying speed. They are not coming for you. They are moving past you, toward the main monster, a silent, unblinking army of horrors. They are the product of the mother, the result of her hunt. You think of the bizarre folklore of the Oni, a kind of Japanese ogre or demon. The Oni are said to be born from the blood and anger of people who have died in a particularly violent or gruesome way. They are not born, they are created. And as you watch the small, grotesque creatures swarm past you, you realize that the Forza crowd is doing the same thing. It's not just eating its victims, it's using them. It's turning them into something else, something horrifying. You grab Polly's hand, your fingers digging into his skin, and you pull him to his feet. Run, you hiss, your voice a choked whisper. Now, you don't have a plan. You don't have a direction. You just know that you have to get out of this place. You have to get away from the mother. And you have to get away from her children. You turn and run, your feet pounding on the concrete floor, the sound of frantic, desperate rhythm in the darkness. You don't look back. You can't. You just run. And as you run, you can hear the low, guttural chittering of the mother behind you, and the soft, slithering sound of her children, a sound that is now closer than it should be. You've stumbled into a family reunion, and you are the main course. The chittering is closer now, a chorus of 1,000 tiny, clicking sounds that are coming from the shadows all around you. You and your friends are running, a frantic, desperate scramble through the dark. Your feet pound on the concrete floor, the sound a loud, terrifying rhythm that seems to announce your presence to the whole mill. The air is thick with the smell of rust and dust, and the feeling of something wet and slimy is brushing against your ankles. It's the small creatures, the young, a tide of silent, grotesque horrors that are slithering and scuttling with a terrifying speed. They are not chasing you. They are moving with you, a living wall of flesh that is herding you toward the main monster, a horrifying, living net that is pulling you in. Neil is yelling now, his voice a frantic, desperate sound in the darkness. Go, go, don't look back. He's holding his rifle, but he's not shooting. He knows it's useless. He knows that the only thing that will save you is to get out of this place. But you don't know which way is out. The mill is a labyrinth of rusted machinery, of dead ends and blind corners. Every turn you take seems to lead you deeper into the darkness. You think of the horrifying history of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire of 1911, a tragedy where nearly 150 people, mostly young women, died because the doors were locked to prevent them from taking breaks. The women were trapped, and they had no way out. Historians still debate whether the doors were locked by a careless foreman or an intentional act of cruelty. But the terror of being trapped in a burning building with no escape is a universal fear, and as you run, a horrifying sense of déjà vu washes over you. You are trapped. You are in a cage, and the thing that has trapped you is not a locked door. It's a monster. Polly is screaming now, a high-pitched, hysterical sound that is getting louder with every step. He's running blindly, his body a frantic, panicked mess. Vera is silent, her face a mask of pure terror. She's running beside you, but her movements are slow, almost deliberate. She's not trying to get away. She's just running. It's a terrifying, almost beautiful sight, a kind of choreographed dance of death. You look at Neil, whose face is a mask of pure, unadulterated fear. He's the guide. He's the one who was supposed to know the way. But he's lost. He's just as lost as you are. You remember the bizarre folklore of the Stikini, a mythical creature from Seminole folklore that can transform from a human into a great, terrifying, owl-like monster. The Stikini would stalk its prey, feeding on their fear, and the more they ran, the more powerful the monster would become. And as you run, you can feel it. The creature is getting stronger. The chittering is getting louder. The air is growing colder. It is feeding on your fear. It is growing on your panic. It is becoming a part of you. The horror is no longer just in the mill. It's in you. It's in your blood. It's in your mind. The chittering stops. The wet, squelching sound of the great monster stops. The only sound you can hear now is the pounding of your own heart. You skid to a stop, your chest heaving, your lungs burning. Polly and Vera crash into you, their bodies a terrified, sobbing heap. Neil is standing a few feet away, his rifle held in a trembling hand, his eyes wide and unblinking. He's looking at a spot in the darkness, a place where a small, single red light is pulsing. It's not one of the eyes of the main monster. It's a new one, a different one. It's a single, malevolent red light that is now moving toward you. The main monster is gone. It has sent a scout, a hunter, a single, silent, terrifying eye that is now coming for you. And it is coming for you alone. The hunt has just become personal. The low chittering has stopped. The wet, slithering sound of the great monster has ceased. The only thing you can hear now is the frantic, terrified pounding of your own heart. It's a sound that seems to echo in the profound silence, a frantic drumbeat that is announcing your presence to the entire mill. You and your friends are huddled together, a small, shivering huddle of flesh and bone in the suffocating darkness. You've stopped running. You've stopped screaming. All of you are just listening. Listening for the sound that will announce the creature's return. And then you see it. It's not the mother. It's not her children. It's a single, malevolent red light that is now moving toward you. It's a scout. You realize with a jolt of sickening recognition, the mother has sent a single hunter, a silent, terrifying eye that is now coming for you. The light is moving slowly, deliberately, a single, pulsating beacon of malevolence in the inky blackness. It's not moving fast. It's just approaching, and that's what makes it so terrifying. The fact that it's not rushing you. The fact that it's taking its time. It knows it has you. It knows you have nowhere to go. And it is savoring the hunt. You think of the chilling history of the dancing mania of the Middle Ages. A bizarre and terrifying phenomenon in which groups of people would dance compulsively and erratically in the streets, often for days on end, until they collapsed from exhaustion or died. The cause of the mania is still a matter of scholarly debate, with theories ranging from psychological mass hysteria to a strange form of food poisoning. But the unsettling image of people being forced to dance by an unseen, uncontrollable force is a perfect metaphor for what you are feeling now. You are trapped. You are in a cage. And the thing that has trapped you is forcing you to participate in its terrifying game. It's not just hunting you. It's playing with you. It's toying with you. And it's a terrifying, psychological game that it knows it will win. The red light is getting closer now. You can see the pale, fleshy form of the creature it is attached to, a smaller, leaner version of the mother, a sort of advanced scout. It's not chittering. It's not making a sound. The silence is absolute, a vacuum that sucks all sound and life out of the world. It's a silent scream, a horrifying, unfeeling silence that is far more terrifying than any sound. You can hear your friends' ragged, terrified breaths, a chorus of gasps that are the only sound in the universe. You remember the bizarre folklore of the Gumiho, a nine-tailed fox from Korean mythology that can transform into a beautiful woman to lure in its prey. The Gumiho is said to eat the liver of its victims, a strange and unsettling act that is far more terrifying than a simple death. The idea of a creature that has a specific, macabre purpose for its victims is a terrifying thought, and as you watch the silent, horrifying creature glide toward you, you realize that the Forsa crowd is doing the same thing. It's not just killing you. It's collecting you. It's using you. It's turning you into something else. Polly is sobbing now, a soft, high-pitched whimpering sound. He's staring at the red light, his body a trembling wreck of pure, raw panic. Vera is a statue of pure, unadulterated terror. She's not moving. She's not screaming. She's just staring, her eyes wide, her mouth a silent, gaping hole. The creature is only a few feet away now. You can see its pale, fleshy form in the dim light. Its limbs are a series of long, grotesque filaments that are twisting and coiling. A silent, horrifying dance. It has no head. It has no face. It just has the single, pulsating red light. It's a terrifying, unblinking eye that is fixed entirely on you. You know what you have to do. You have to run. You grab Polly's hand, your fingers digging into his skin, and you pull him. But he doesn't move. He's frozen. He's a statue of fear. The creature is now only a few feet away. You can feel the cold, damp air that seems to emanate from its body. You can smell the scent of rust and decay, a thick, cloying miasma that is a part of the creature's very essence. You are in its home now. You are a part of it, and it has come to collect you. The single red eye is pulsating faster now, a rhythmic, silent beat that is counting down the seconds to your end. You are a helpless, terrified victim, and you are about to witness the true horror of the Forza crowd. The creature is now a few feet away, its single red eye pulsating with a malevolent, rhythmic light. You can feel the cold, damp air that seems to emanate from its body, a chilling miasma that smells of rust and decay. It's a silent, unblinking sentinel, its single eye fixed entirely on you, a terrifying, unblinking beacon of death. You feel a jolt of pure adrenaline course through your body. You have to move. You have to get away. You grab Polly's hand, your fingers digging into his skin, and you pull him with all your might. He's a dead weight, a statue of pure, unadulterated terror. He won't move. He can't move. His mind has shut down. He's just a victim waiting for the inevitable. And then Neil does something unexpected. He raises his rifle, a great, heavy, antiquated weapon, and he points it at the creature. He's not a young man, and his hands are trembling, but his eyes are fixed on the monster, a look of pure, unyielding rage on his face. He's not a scared tourist anymore. He's a hunter. He's a guardian. He's a man who has decided that this is where the line is drawn. He yells, his voice a hoarse, guttural roar that is a sound of defiance in the face of a silent, unfeeling horror. Get out of here. Now, I'll hold it off. You can't believe what you're hearing. He's sacrificing himself. He's giving you a chance. You think of the chilling history of the Wounded Knee Massacre of 1890, the last major conflict between the U.S. government and the Lakota people, a terrible slaughter of hundreds of unarmed men, women, and children. But in the midst of the chaos, there were stories of quiet, dignified defiance, of people who stood their ground to protect their families, their homes, their very way of life. Historians still debate whether the soldiers' actions or a panicked reaction, or a deliberate act of genocide. But the image of people making a last stand in the face of overwhelming odds is a powerful, gut-wrenching one. Neil is doing the same thing. He's a man making a last stand, a desperate, valiant attempt to save the lives of a group of strangers he's known for less than an hour. You grab Vera, who is still a silent statue of terror, and you shove her. A brutal, desperate push that gets her moving. Go, you scream. Go now. She stumbles, her body a frightened mess, and she finally starts to run. You turn and run with her, your feet pounding on the concrete floor, the sound of frantic, desperate rhythm that is now the only sound in the universe. You don't look back. You can't. You just run. And as you run, you hear a sound. It's not the soft, sickening thud of the creature's body. It's the loud, shattering explosion of a rifle, a single, powerful report that echoes through the mill. A deafening sound of defiance that is a final, beautiful goodbye. You think about the bizarre folklore of the Mothman's sightings again. You remember the detail about its connection to catastrophic events. The creature, they said, was not a cause of disaster, but a harbinger, a warning. And as you run, your mind reeling, you realize that Neil was a kind of harbinger. He was a man who knew what was coming. He was a man who knew what this place was. He was a warning. And you, in your foolish, thrill-seeking arrogance, ignored him. You thought he was just a part of the show, a colorful character in your little horror story, but he was real. He was the only real thing in this entire, horrifying mill, and he just died to save you. You can hear the creature now, a low, rhythmic thudding sound that is getting closer. It's not just one of them. It's all of them. The shot from the rifle has woken the mother. The shot from the rifle has woken the children. You are now the target of a unified, terrifying force. You run blindly, your mind a blank slate of pure, unadulterated panic. You stumble over a rusted pipe, your body a terrified, flailing mess. You land hard, your knees scraping on the rough concrete, a searing, white-hot pain that brings you back to reality. You're not in a nightmare. You're in a trap, and the trap is closing in on you. You look up and you see it. The great, sprawling horror. The mother. She's coming. Her pale, fleshy body is a pulsating white mass, her limbs a tangle of grotesque, twitching filaments. Her 4 red eyes are now a furious, malevolent red, pulsating with a rhythmic beat that seems to sync with your own frantic heartbeat. She's moving with a terrifying speed, a silent, unstoppable charge. And she's not coming for you. She's coming for Neil. She's coming for the man who dared to defy her. The hunt is over, and the punishment is about to begin. You can only watch, frozen in place, a helpless witness to a horrifying, silent act of vengeance. The creature is not just a hunter, it's a judge, and it has just sentenced the man who saved you to a fate worse than death. You can hear a soft, wet sound, a sound like a wet sponge being squeezed. And then silence. The air is still. The red eyes are now a pale, dim light. And the monster is gone, You are alone now, truly, terrifyingly alone. You're running. That's all you know. Your legs are a frantic, desperate blur, your feet pounding on the rusted metal catwalks. The sound of frantic, horrifying rhythm in the darkness. You've lost Vera. You've lost Neil. You don't know where Polly is, and you don't want to know. You're alone. The air is thick with the scent of rust and decay, a metallic tang that feels like a physical thing in your throat. You can hear the sounds of the mill now, a low, constant symphony of creaks, groans, and pops. It's a dying beast, you think, and you are trapped in its dying breath. You are in the heart of a machine that has turned on itself, a metal and concrete monster that is now hunting you. You stumble, your body a terrified, flailing mess. Your knee hits a metal grate, and a searing, white-hot pain shoots through your leg. You gasp, a choked, desperate sound that is swallowed by the silence. The silence is back now, a profound, deafening vacuum that sucks all sound and life out of the world. It's a silent scream, a horrifying, unfeeling silence that is far more terrifying than any sound. You can feel it. The creature is close. It's not running. It's gliding. It's a phantom horror, a silent, unblinking specter that is now just a few feet behind you. You can't see it. You can't hear it, but you can feel it. The air is growing colder, and you swear you can hear a soft, wet sound, a sound like 1,000 snails crawling across a wet stone. You think of the horrifying history of the witch house in Salem, Massachusetts, the home of Judge Jonathan Corwin, who presided over the Salem witch trials. The house is said to be haunted by the spirits of those he condemned. The house itself is a monument to a time when mass hysteria and paranoia could lead to the brutal execution of innocent people. Historians still debate whether the trials were a result of religious fanaticism or a deliberate act of political persecution. But the terror of being hunted by an invisible, unproven threat is a universal fear, and as you run, your mind reeling, you realize that you are in your own personal witch trial. You are being hunted by a silent, unproven threat. You are the condemned, and there is no judge to save you. You round a corner, a blind turn in the darkness, and you crash into something. It's a wall, a solid, concrete wall that has no door, no window, no way out. You're in a dead end. You're trapped. Your body is a trembling wreck of pure, raw panic. You slide down the wall, your body a terrified, sobbing heap. You have nowhere to run. You have nowhere to hide. You are a helpless, terrified victim, and the monster is coming for you. You think of the bizarre folklore of the hide behind, a legendary creature from American folklore that is said to be a silent, invisible beast that stalks lumberjacks. It's said to hide behind trees or in the shadows, waiting for its prey to turn their back, and when they do, they're gone. You can't see it. You can't hear it, but you know it's there. You can feel its presence, a cold, unfeeling dread that is now standing right behind you. You can feel the air grow colder, the silence more profound. you can hear a soft, slithering sound, a sound that is getting closer. You close your eyes, your body a terrified, sobbing mess. You are waiting for the inevitable. You are waiting for the end. You have no one to save you. You are alone now, truly, terrifyingly alone. You think of the bizarre folklore of the Mothman sightings again. You remember the detail about its connection to catastrophic events. The creature, they said, was not a cause of disaster, but a harbinger, a warning. And as you wait, your mind reeling, you realize that this creature, this silent, horrifying thing, is a kind of harbinger. It's a warning. It's a silent, unblinking sentinel of death. And it has come to collect you. You can hear a soft, wet sound, a sound like a wet sponge being squeezed. And then silence. The air is still. The red eyes are now a pale, dim light, and the monster is gone. You are alone now, truly, terrifyingly alone, and you have no one to save you. You're not on the concrete floor anymore. You're on the catwalks, the rusted metal grates of the mill's upper levels, and your feet are a frantic, desperate blur. You don't know how you got here. One moment, you were huddled in a dead end, waiting for death. And the next, you were on the catwalks. A terrifying, silent chase unfolding behind you. The creature, the small, silent hunter, is not on the catwalks with you. It's below you. You can see its single, red eye, a malevolent beacon, gliding silently on the ground floor, its body a pale, fleshy white. It's a silent, unblinking sentinel, a hunter that knows where you are, but is just waiting. It's a terrifying psychological game, a game of cat and mouse where the cat is a monster, and you are the mouse, and the cat is simply toying with you, savoring the hunt. You think of the chilling history of the Tower of London, a place of torture and death for centuries. The tower has a long and bloody history and is said to be haunted by the ghosts of its victims, including Anne Boleyn and Lady Jane Grey. Historians still debate whether the stories of spectral presences were created by the human trauma of the place, or if the lingering dread of the tower has somehow been imprinted on the very walls. Like the Tower of London, this mill is a place of death, a place where people have been imprisoned and then disappeared. It's a place that is haunted by the living, a place that is a monument to a silent, unfeeling horror. You are a terrified, sobbing wreck, your body a frantic, flailing mess. Your hands are scraped and bleeding from where you've grabbed the rusted metal railings, and your legs are burning with a searing, white-hot pain. You're not running anymore. You're scrambling. You're crawling. You are an animal, a terrified animal that has no way out. The creature below is not moving fast. It's just moving. Its single red eye is a constant, terrifying presence, a malevolent beacon that is fixed entirely on you. It's a terrifying, silent promise that it will not stop until you are a part of its collection. You look down through the grates of the catwalk, and you can see a strange, unsettling sight. The small, silent hunters are now everywhere. A tide of small, pale creatures that that are scuttling on the ground below. A horrifying, living net that is a part of the creature's body. They are not chasing you. They are just moving, a silent, unblinking army that is moving with you. A living wall of flesh that is herding you toward a single point. A point you cannot see. A point you do not want to see. You are a part of a larger plan. A horrifying, living machine that is moving with a terrifying, unfeeling grace. You think of the bizarre folklore of the Mothman's sightings again. You remember the detail about its connection to catastrophic events. The creature, they said, was not a cause of disaster, but a harbinger, a warning. And as you scramble on the catwalk, your mind reeling, you realize that this creature, this silent, horrifying thing, is a kind of harbinger. It's a warning. It's a silent, unblinking sentinel of death. And it has come to collect you. The air is growing colder, the silence more profound. The single red eye below is now pulsating faster, a rhythmic, silent beat that is counting down the seconds to your end. You are a helpless, terrified victim, and you are about to witness the true horror of the Forza crowd. You close your eyes, your body a terrified, sobbing mess. You are waiting for the inevitable. You are waiting for the end. You have no one to save you. You are alone now, truly, terrifyingly alone. You think of the bizarre folklore of the bunyip again. You remember the detail about its many forms. The creature, they said, was not one thing. It was many things, and as you wait, your mind reeling, you realize that this creature, this silent, horrifying thing, is a kind of bunyip. It's not one thing. It's many things. It is a family. It is a hunter. It is a trap. And it has come to collect you. You can hear a sound now. A soft, scratching sound that is coming from a spot on the catwalk, a few feet away. You open your eyes, and you see it. The small hunter, a pale, fleshy horror, is now on the catwalk with you. It's not on the ground below anymore. It's here. It's a silent, unblinking sentinel, a terrifying, unfeeling eye that is now fixed entirely on you. You are not alone now. You are a part of its collection, and it has come to collect you. You can hear a soft, wet sound, a sound like a wet sponge being squeezed. And then silence. The air is still. The red eyes are now a pale, dim light, and the monster is gone. You are alone now, truly, terrifyingly alone. You are running. Your body is a screaming, panicked mess. Your feet, a frantic blur on the rusted metal of the catwalks. The air is thick with the scent of your own fear, a bitter, metallic tang that is a physical thing in your throat. You have no idea where you are. Every corner looks the same. Every rusted pipe, every dark, gaping hole in the floor looks like a mouth waiting to swallow you whole. You are a terrified animal in a cage, and the cage is a labyrinth of metal and death. You stumble, your knee buckling, and you land hard on a metal grate, the impact sending a jolt of white-hot pain through your leg. You gasp, a choked, desperate sound that is swallowed by the profound, deafening silence. The creature, the silent, unblinking sentinel, it's still there. Below you, waiting, you crawl, a whimpering, terrified animal, your hands and knees scraped and bleeding. You are not looking for an exit anymore. You are not looking for your friends. You are just looking for a hole to die in. A small, dark place where you can be alone. You see it. It's a small, rusted room, a sort of maintenance closet, tucked away in a corner of the catwalk. The door is a solid metal thing, and it's propped open. It looks like a tomb, a safe, secure tomb. You scramble inside, your body a terrified, flailing mess. You slam the door shut, the sound a loud, final clang that seems to echo in the profound silence. You lean against it, your body shaking, your mind a blank slate of pure, unadulterated terror. You are safe. You are finally safe. You are alone, but you are not alone, and you are not safe. You think of the chilling mystery of the Green Children of Woolpit, a bizarre story from 12th century England. 2 green-skinned children appeared in a village, speaking an unknown language. They were eventually able to communicate, and they claimed to have come from an underground land where the sun never shone. Historians still debate whether the children were aliens, victims of a strange illness, or just a figment of local folklore. But the unsettling image of 2 beings who are a part of our world, but not of our world, is a terrifying thought. Like the green children, this creature is a part of this mill, a part of the death and decay that has consumed this place. But it is not of this world. It's an alien horror, a silent, unfeeling force that is now standing just outside your door. You hear a sound now, a soft, scraping sound. A sound like 1,000 nails being dragged across a metal plate. The sound is coming from the other side of the door. The creature knows you're in there. It's not breaking down the door. It's not screaming. It's just scraping. It's a terrifying psychological game. A game of cat and mouse where the cat is a monster and you are the mouse. And the cat is simply toying with you, savoring the hunt. You can feel the cold metal of the door against your back, and you realize that your sanctuary is nothing more than a cage from which you will not escape. You think of the bizarre folklore of the Yuki-onna, a Japanese snow spirit. The Yuki-onna is a creature of terrifying beauty, and she can appear as a beautiful woman, but her touch is an icy death. She is a silent, unfeeling spirit that can lure its victims into a snowstorm. And then, once they are helpless, she will freeze them to death. The idea of a creature that is beautiful on the outside, but is a silent, unfeeling horror on the inside, is a terrifying thought. And as you lean against the door, your mind racing, you realize that the Forsa crowd is a kind of perverted Yuki-onna. It's a silent, unfeeling horror that is luring you in, only to reveal its true, horrifying nature. The scraping sound stops. The silence that follows is even more terrifying than the sound itself. You can hear a soft, wet sound, a sound like a wet sponge being squeezed, and you can feel the floor under your feet begin to tremble. You look up, and your heart stops. You can see it through a small, rusted vent in the ceiling. You can see a single, pulsating red light. It's the creature's eye, a malevolent beacon that is now looking down at you. It's not on the catwalk anymore. It's above you. It's on the ceiling. It's a terrifying, unblinking eye that is fixed entirely on you. Historians still debate whether the legends of the creature were a result of a deep-seated human fear of being watched, or if the creature's existence was the reason for the legends in the first place. You can feel a cold, clammy dread settle over you. This is the end. You are a helpless, terrified victim. You can hear a soft, slithering sound from the other side of the door, a sound that is getting closer. The creature is not just on the ceiling, it's everywhere. It's a part of the mill. It's a part of the air. It's a part of you. You are a part of its collection, and it has come to collect you. You can feel the cold, metallic taste of fear in your mouth, and you know, with a chilling certainty, that you will never see the morning light. You are a part of the Forza crowd now, whether you like it or not. Certainty that you will never see the morning light. You are a part of the Forza crowd now, whether you like it or not.